Warning. The following show features reviews from wildly unprofessional critics operating without the supervision of professionals. The thoughts and opinions held by these individuals are not to be taken seriously and do not come from a place of intellectual integrity. This show doesn't reflect the opinions of Criticless or its users. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up? What's up? What is up, everyone? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Criticless Cast Unhinged. And you might notice right out of the gate that I'm in my home studio where we never do this, and it's because my friends abandoned me. All of them. Not one friend or two friends, but three whole friends left me all alone to do this show, to go see a movie all by myself. But I will shame them further as I go along. But first, you guys need to know why you're here. It's because I'm talking about F1 the movie, because I guess you need to put that after the F1 part. You can't just call it F1. I'm not entirely sure why. And if you don't know what F1 is, well, it's cars that are like strapping a rocket to your ass, I guess, and they go super duper fast. But yes, this movie is about fast cars, and it is directed by Joseph Kosinski. Not to be confused with John Krasinski, two very different people, but names that are surprisingly similar in the same exact industry. And this movie stars Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Carrie Condon, and Javier Bardem, and quite a few other recognizable faces, but those are the big four. And this was probably on one of my most anticipated films of the year list, if not my most. I was kind of, my goal was to bring expectations down simply because Joseph Kosinski has done such excellent things. His last film was Top Gun Maverick, which people were over the moon about. But that's not all he did. He has also done Tron Legacy, which is one of my favorite films, along with Oblivion. And he did Spiderhead, which a lot of people didn't see, and I highly recommend watching. I absolutely loved it and think that it is awesome. But this guy is known for doing big budget spectacle, but high quality films, the type of things that you go to the theater for. And that's why I was excited. And from all the scenes and such that I was seeing from the trailers, it looked like there was a good chance that this was more of the type of things that he does. And then when you throw Brad Pitt into the mix, it's like, how can you fail? How can you go wrong with something like that? It's a pretty good match make there for that sort of thing. So I was very, very excited for this movie, but trying to keep expectations a little low. We have seen some people that have seen it already actually within Criticless, so make sure to check that out. And if you are not a user of Criticless or don't know what we are an entertainment reviewing platform for reviewing movies and television shows. We are on the web at criticless.com or in app stores, Android and Apple. So download the app now. Go leave a review. If you've seen F1, then make sure to do that ASAP, because we want to hear your thoughts and we want to get an official score. We have 7 votes right now, and we need 10 to hit an official score, and then that number will keep going up and up. And I hope people show up for this film, because it is, like I mentioned, the type of thing that you go to the theater for. So I'm curious to see how it goes, but I am just going to be going with the flow. There is a possibility of a guest popping in. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, so I don't want to make any promises as far as anybody else showing up on the show, but there is somebody that I know in the space of YouTube space that has seen this that might be able to come on. So we'll see if that happens. If not, then it's solo dolo, and I'm running through this like we normally would, except for, just doing my thing, chilling out. So before we dig in any deeper, I want to say hello to the chat. What's going on, everybody? We have the usual suspects, not Chris and Matt, that is, but the usual suspects in the chat, Matt being one of those. But we've got Miss Criticless in here per usual, and Faith Thomas. What's going on? Nice to see you in here. And it sounds like she is a big fan of this sort of thing of Formula One, and I am interested to talk about this more because I am not a big F1 fan, and it's less of a United States thing, honestly, and more of an overseas thing. So I am curious as far as the reception to this and people in the States, if they'll show up for this movie. I'm just very curious because me not being a fan, I still wanted to see it, but I'm also a movie buff and knew the people attached to it. So On top of that, we got slipping into the voice of Matt is in here. What up, buddy? Dark Forest. How's it going, homie? Nice to have you in the chat. And let's see here. Anybody else? Margaret Riggle, how's it going? And of course, Troy Pacelli, how's it going, homie? And as he said, make sure to like, share, subscribe, invite all your friends, do all that right now. Tell people to come hop in on the show. If they are thinking about going and seeing this weekend, then I will not only let you know my thoughts, but we will touch in on some of the thoughts within Criticless as well. And if you have a review on Criticless already, I will definitely touch on that. And I will have more time, being that, Matt and Chris aren't here and we don't have to deal with them. But I did mention that I was abandoned by not one or two friends, but three friends. So this is also me officially throwing Mr. Mo Zamboni under the bus as well, because he bailed and he was supposed to be our special guest. Granted, this kind of is probably a good week for him to not show up, considering Matt and Chris couldn't make it either. So I guess that was a good thing, that a good week for him to miss out on. So hopefully we'll get Mo live in the studio before long. And we got Eternal Glory in the chat as well, and Crisco. So what's up, guys? I hope everybody is doing well and having a fantastic Thursday. I honestly I didn't even realize it was Thursday. This week has been super weird, and it snuck up on me, and I was like, oh, I have to go see a movie. So that happened. But I think that I am going to go ahead and get into business as usual, which means that we will do the first thing we always do, which is, we give culture for the boomers. It's the best. I love that one. So I'm trying to figure out how to set up the screen. What's the best way with just me, or just take me out of the picture entirely? Oh, too much me. Way too much me. We'll do little me on the screen. So, and this is a whole new thing here too. I've got my home studio, so I've got like everything to work with, which is pretty freaking fantastic. But also, I don't have Matt doing all of the clicking around that I don't want to do. So what are we going to educate the boomers on first? One thing that boomers do know about is Pauly Shore, and I think that is actually where I should kick things off, because I don't know what I thought Pauly Shore was doing. I'm not even sure if I realized that Pauly Shore was still alive. For the younger people, they might not even know much about him, but Pauly Shore was a national treasure in the 80s and 90s, and then kind of disappeared a little bit. But he's apparently back, and as weird as he's always been. So
let the good times roll. Let them knock you around. Good times roll. Let them make you feel like a clown.
He still got it.
Let them leave you up in the air. Just let them brush that rock and roll hair. Let the good times roll. Let the good times roll.
Style.
The good times roll.
This is just a home band, hanging out in the house, rocking out, being a retired Hollywood person. This made me cackle. The fact that we have him back and at it just randomly on TikTok. I mean, this is his personal TikTok. I did not even realize that this was a thing. I guess he's still doing stand-up and stuff, which is really cool. And so he's like sharing older stuff that he used to do, and then also just doing weird things like performing. I don't even know. There's weird stuff happening.
Oh, make me over. I'm all I wanna be. I'm walking steady in demonology.
I want to know who these old men are so badly.
Oh, look at my face. My name is Might Have Been.
It's so good. It's great. And I guess apparently has been pointed out in the chat, actually, by Eternal Glory, I think was who pointed that out, that apparently he owns Comedy Store, which I didn't realize. But I did, now that you mentioned him being around Rogan and stuff, I feel like I did know something about that. But I did not know that he owned the Comedy Store. So that's very interesting. But I'm just glad to see that he's still being weird, still being him. I don't even know what's happening, but it's pretty great. I hope that going back page doesn't totally screw me up here. All right, no, we're good. We're safe. All right, normally I don't dig down deeper into these. All right. So there's this young guy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this young fella. He showed up a while back, and basically what he showed up for was actually that he started basically
Is Elon Musk
like, I don't want to say bombing exactly, but jumping into these big events on the stage like he belonged there. I think he did it at the Game Awards and or whatever those are called now. One of those things. He literally went up on stage, like accepted an award. He's just, this kid is wild, and his name is Matan, Matan. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but you might have been seeing him around. And so, as far as the the culture for boomers, I just want folks to know about this guy because you're probably going to see him pop up more and more. The weird thing is when he showed up was actually quite a few months ago, but now he's just I don't know. I guess he's got his own podcast, and what's become very odd is that basically he's started this podcast in his basement, and that all of these celebrities, very famous people, are now starting to go on this random little podcast that he has in his basement. And it's so strange, everything about it. The videos just get weirder and weirder. Some of these I'm borderline scared to show on YouTube, even though he has his own YouTube show and has this stuff up there. The guy is it's interesting because it very much follows in the suit of what we've been hearing about some of these younger folks that are over the whole hypersensitivity, everything offending everyone, and really getting back into being how things were back in like the 2000s and before, where it was okay to be offensive. It was okay to get under people's skin and just be over the top and not be afraid to hurt anybody's feelings. And that's what this kid is doing. And he's pretty freaking hilarious.
Musk being autistic a disgrace to your people?
Okay, so just a joke as well.
Well, that's no. You're autistic, yes?
I don't think so. I've never done any tests for anything like
you're
that.
not sure? I'm not trying to be
that's
offensive.
okay.
I thought you might have been.
Yeah, that's okay. And actually, or go ahead.
But that was the whole question. Is Elon Musk being autistic a disgrace to your people?
Also, this is kind of a double whammy here because this guy, Dax Flame, who he had on his show, who's also a big social media guy, more so on, I think, places like TikTok. The dude is clearly painfully autistic, but the guy is just very, very odd. And you can't seem to offend this guy, but he also seems constantly confused, and having him on Matan's show is just kind of the perfect mix. And so this whole time that Dax was on the show, he was just getting absolutely roasted. So the fact that he got a slam in on Elon,
is
and
Elon Musk being autistic a disgrace to your people?
Okay, so just a joke as well.
Well, that's no. You're autistic, yes?
I don't think so. I've never done it.
The fact that Dax doesn't think he's autistic or doesn't know is baffling. And that's why a lot of people think that what Dax has going on is a bit. I don't think it is, but I also don't get why people are enamored with him. I guess it's just that he's not afraid to expose himself in such a painfully awkward way. So I do not know, but this guy is very interesting. Here's another one by Matan here.
How was it like to be elected as the first black president in 2008?
No, that wasn't me. That was President Barack Obama. I'm 97% West African.
He's Kenyan?
Yes, he's from Kenya.
Oh.
I think his father's from Kenya.
You just a Freudian right there.
No, his father.
He's from Kenya.
His father.
You got it right the first time.
No,
How was it like to be elected as the first?
The fact that he got Charlemagne to say that Obama was from Kenya is freaking fantastic. But this show gets so weird. He's got like his buddies who will like crawl around with their shirts off underneath the desk. And he's had actual politicians and stuff in here. It's super weird. And he's like 17 years old. He's really young. And I think lives with his folks still. So it's just extra, extra weird. But I do want to point out as well, we had a few people pop in for some super chats. So thanks, guys. Dole Status in here said, I got to wait till Wednesday. Friends out of town. So I'm guessing you are not going to see the film yet, but I'll let you know whether it's worth seeing in theaters, which my guess is you probably will either way. And then we got Couch Tater, who just says, sup, Zane, it's Blaine. And you know what? You don't want to bring Zane out on this show while I'm all by myself here. If you bring Zane out, it's basically like the Waluigi version of me, and this show could go off the rails very quickly. So Zane has been established now after me going on a video game stream and playing Mario Kart last night, where Couch Tater specifically harassed me into oblivion in Mario Kart, because apparently now we just all the streamers just let the people in the audience, the people watching the show, actually come in and race against us. And of course, all of the people streaming are targets. And Couch Tater, for some reason, just decided that I was some sort of a person that needed attacking. And so I was just getting pummeled into oblivion in Mario Kart. And thus Zane was born, which is my alternate identity. And I'm just going to keep him under wraps for today. Okay. We don't want to bring Zane into this because things might get wild. But thanks for the twofer, Couch Tater. So, and we see Dark Forest. Your phone's dying. Later, homie. But yes, so this guy, real wild. I saw someone else mentioning, I guess he did one about a gym membership. This kid's hilarious. I highly recommend looking into him if you want to get back into the old school type of humor and comedy. It's definitely a big throwback, and he's very, very funny and very offensive. So that portion of it is pretty great. The other thing that I really wanted to do just very quickly was make fun of people that drive Jeeps.
Duck, bro.
Yeah.
Duck, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty much straight. I mean, I think that nail on the head from this AI. This is the perfect Jeep driver right here. That they got the Jeeps perfectly down, and then they're ducks. They're super, super flamboyant and fruity ducks. It's real weird. I don't know why you guys do it, and I wouldn't embrace it if I drove a Jeep, but I wouldn't drive a Jeep because I drive a Bronco. So, that's where the hate comes from. It's because I'm a Bronco guy and not a duck driving, riding Jeep guy that kisses other dudes. I drive a Bronco, and we don't do that. We don't even have little things that we put on our dashes like rubber duckies. So there. But this is very funny, and AI is ridiculous, and I love that they just keep making these super strange and weird things. And yes, I am a hater, says my wife. So yes, I am a hater. And so I don't know. There's this girl right now. So this is part 3. She's doing something very interesting. And I think there's some merit to this. I'm curious if any of the ladies or even the fellas have any commentary on this. I'm going to let it run and just let you guys listen to it. But essentially, she has decided that she has all the math figured out. She's got everything situated. And she knows, based off of who a man's favorite director is, as to what type of person they are and how they will be in a dating relationship, and how all of that is, how all of it pans out depending on who they like as a director. So I'm just going to play number 3 because she touches on 2 of my favorite directors, and I'm curious about everyone's thoughts on that as well. So we're just going to let it play.
Always ask a man on a first date who his favorite movie director is, and I can help you interpret what it means. This is based on 40 years of research, so feel free to disagree, but know that if you do, you are wrong. If he says Nancy Meyers, he's cheap. If he says Ridley Scott, he's a good feminist, but he's afraid of menstrual blood. If he says Fellini, he's too young for you. If he says James Cameron, he's good at fixing things around the house, and he won't fuck up your birthday. If he says Woody Allen, you do not look like the photos on your dating profile, and he is punishing you for it. If he says Guy Ritchie, he's addicted to online gambling and he loves chicken wings. If he says Lars von Trier, he has erectile dysfunction. If he says Michael Mann, he would take a bullet for his dog. If he says Edgar Wright, you got a smart, funny one, but he gets sad a lot. So carry Sour Patch Kids in your purse and remember that the sad is not your fault. If he says Gus Van Sant, he's been to at least one Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Hope this was helpful. Always ask a man.
There's so much to unpack here, and this is number 3. I've seen the other 2, and they're pretty good. And I had been waiting for her to hit any of my favorite directors, and she hit 2 of them on this one. And I was like, did she get it right? And some of these I feel like she's definitely spot on about. But Edgar Wright is typically where I go as far as my favorite director, and she named that, and I found that description fairly funny. Also, she brought up Guy Ritchie and about basically the gambling and liking chicken wings. I do like chicken wings. I am not much of a gambler though, but I do understand where that thought process comes from for sure. So I'm curious to see, and Matt also in the chat is saying Edgar Wright all day as well, and same here. So I guess you got to. That's the thing. Is that right? I guess we need to ask our wives, because I think this was back here.
Right, you got a smart, funny one, but he gets sad a lot. So carry Sour Patch Kids in your purse, and remember that the sad is not your fault. If he says Gus Van,
that's pretty good and a very strange assessment. And I really want to know how she comes up with all these. They're pretty great. And I like how here one of the first top ones says, if he says Woody Allen, then run. And that was exactly my exact first thought was if it's Woody Allen, then run. Definitely that would be the case. So I really like these, and it seems like you guys have some thoughts about some of these directors, obviously. And yeah, Christopher Nolan is not on this one. I think he was on list 1 or 2. I'd have to dig back, but there are some very interesting ones here. If you are on TikTok and can come across these videos, I would recommend it, because they're pretty good, and I think she did a good job with them. And actually, it leads me, well, before we go into the last thing, I just want to show this because it's absurd, and it's such a dog thing, and it's something that probably like one of our dogs would do because they're little demons, but I thought that this was absolutely hilarious.
You can't even make this shit up. How does one shit on the couch? I get up, and he's scared. He gets off the couch, does a spin move, and shits on my wall. I know you fucking lying right now. You can't even make this shit up. How does one shit on the couch? I get up, and he's scared. He gets off the couch, does a spin move, and shits on my
shit on the wall is the best thing I've ever seen, and such a dog thing. It is ridiculous. And apparently we're having a whole issue right now because apparently one of our brilliant mods decided to
I know you
Caveat Ties apparently deleted Gary from our chat. Fantastic job, Caveat. This is just top tier modding right here, brother. I love it. Super funny. I'll let y'all figure out how to bring him back, because there is no way that I can bring up YouTube and everything else and bring him back. Maybe his comments were just hid, which is also a bummer. Oh, there's got to be a way for y'all to undo that. I'm not exactly sure how, but sorry for the trolling banjo from our lovely mods. That is honestly pretty funny. I did not see what he had to say, but this video, absolutely hilarious, and it's just really ridiculous and such a dog thing for them to not only crap on the couch, then crap on the couch again, and then absolutely crap on the wall. Just pretty freaking fantastic and very funny. Now, there's another thing, the last thing I wanted to talk about here. I'm curious on everyone's thoughts. I feel like it is controversial, but I completely agree. And I've felt this way for years, and I just felt seen. I felt heard by these little weirdos.
But I will take it a step further and say that the Dark Knight trilogy did irreparable damage to the Batman idea.
That's an interesting take.
Okay, but I'm not going to...
That's an interesting take. I don't hate it.
Explain why, because I might not disagree.
Okay, because it's literally just Christopher Nolan saying, here is like the skin of Batman, and I'm just going to make my own action movie. Like, it's taking concepts of Batman, Joker, Bane.
Look, I love Christopher Nolan. His Batman movies are among my least favorite of his movies, but I think these guys are pretty spot on. I think they're killing it.
But it's not them. It is not them.
That was an unbelievable bar that you just said.
No, it's a good take. It's a good take.
But the worst part is that it's being translated now. Like, the Dark Knight was one thing, and now we have the Batman movie where it's like, okay, now we got to take that realism a step further. And it's like, we're going to keep getting this every 10, 15 years of just a grittier, darker, more realistic Batman. And it's like you had the GOAT right there in Man of Steel. Or BVS. Like, Ben
Big
Affleck
facts.
is just the king of Batman.
Yeah, he's my
coming
favorite
out.
Batman too.
Yeah,
I thought you cared about Batman.
I love Batman.
Then why do you want him killing people?
Because he doesn't kill people.
He blows somebody up.
But I will
listen,
take it a step further.
I personally, I don't care if Batman is killing people. I don't care if he's murdering them. Murking them in Minecraft, as they make us say on YouTube. Batman. Whatever.
The Dark Knight
I think
trilogy
honestly, it makes more sense if Batman is a little bit more sadistic. It worked for me. I thought that version of Batman from Snyder's Batman was great. Affleck was great. I love Batfleck. And I've always felt like the Christopher Nolan thing did kind of send us down the wrong path for a lot of things when it comes to superhero movies. And I thought that they were too grounded. I didn't like the militaristic take. He removed the whole detective element for the most part from Batman. A lot of that I just was not a huge fan of. So I do agree. And actually, I wonder if someone else agrees. I have someone in here, and I'm curious to see if I can get him in the right window. Let's see. Hold on. All right. Figure out what I'm doing here. Oh, my goodness. Look who I found.
He did it.
What's up, Odin?
Nothing much. Packing, trying to get everything set for tomorrow. Long road trip to St. Louis and then to Tulsa,
dude,
and then all back within a week. So it'll be fun.
Holy crap, that's
with
wild.
2 kids, yeah, with a 4-year-old and the almost 2-year-old.
That's gonna be fun.
Yes. So luckily, we did the trip last year. And so we had then a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old basically.
Right.
So that was also a fun trip. And so luckily I've already planned out back then stops along the way for running around and stuff. So glad I did all that work last year because it made the adaptation a lot easier this year.
Right, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you popping in, man. I threw you the last minute request, and I was like, I know Odin's seen it, and he's yet to come on while I've been doing this, and the others bailed on me, so this was a perfect time.
I pulled up the stream, and I was like, oh, I got my Teddy Grahams, I got my chocolate milk. I'm like ready just to relax for a second, listen in, and then I'm like, wait, he's all alone, and then I heard him talking about the Dark Knight trilogy and Nolan ruining things, and I'm like, oh, okay, let me just go ahead and jump on.
Right. Yeah. It's just me, man. Yeah, I was supposed to have, normally Matt and Chris are on the show with me, and they ended up both having things, one being work and one being, technically work related, with which Matt's wife was out of town and stuff. But then Mo Zamboni was supposed to be on with me as well, and he ended up double booking. And so I was like, geez, this is just a solo run tonight. And funny enough, last night I was supposed to have an interview as well, and they ended up having to bail on me too. So this is like 2 days in a row of just chaos. So I'm just like, geez, what is going on? Because Adam Krigler, he was going to do an interview. We'll probably do it on a different day. But yeah, we were going to do one, but I think he's in like Sweden or somewhere, and so he's on a different time zone and also got a young kid. So I was like, bro, I know that the struggles with having young kids, and you know the deal too. So
it is tough, especially when you're dealing with a time difference like he is, which is insane.
Yeah, that's got to be hard. And I think like the past week it was like midsummer or something for them, so they were like out of like literally the midsummer like vacation or whatever, like and over in Sweden, and so he was doing that for like a week. I don't know what that entails, but anyway, so yeah, but I was kind of sort of mildly crapping on the Nolan Batman movies, but. I know they're seriously loved, but I heard these guys talking about it, and I was like, this is kind of how I felt. Where like I don't hate them, and I think 2 was phenomenal. A lot of that was because of Heath Ledger, but like for like Bale, I think is my least favorite Batman, honestly, even more than like some of the goofy ones.
No. You cannot say that when George Clooney's Batman exists.
Okay,
he is automatic. He is an automatic worse Batman, automatically, because he's playing himself. He doesn't change his voice. He doesn't do anything. He's George Clooney being George Clooney on screen as George Clooney, wearing a Batman outfit and pretending to be Bruce Wayne, even though he's still just George Clooney.
Right? Yeah, you're absolutely not wrong about that. Yeah,
at least Bale tries.
Right. Yeah, even though you can't understand a word that he's saying.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. That's Nolan's fault.
Right,
that is Nolan's fault, because the first movie you can understand most of it.
Right.
And I remember being in the theater. It was back in the day, midnight showings. Remember when they used to have midnight showings?
Dude, they were so fun.
Now there's 2 p.m. showings. It's like, what the heck's going on?
I just saw a 4 o'clock showing, which was the first one of the day for this movie. Yep. So it's like, it's so weird. The midnight showings used to just be what we all did.
And it was so much fun. And you got to be up there with your friends, and it was like the experience. And even though it was like 3 a.m, you had to be talking with the parking lot with everybody, and it was a blast. I miss those days, man.
Right.
But I remember being in the theater for this one, for the second, rather for Dark Knight, and I remember the first time he speaks, I'm like, oh gosh, what the hell did Nolan do? Because you could tell that was not his voice. That was a modulated voice where it just like became just and I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, that's crazy.
And he kept it for like the whole, it got like marginally better in like 2 or 3, but it still was not to where you're like, oh, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, no, the first movie was fantastic because it was just his voice and you could understand most of it. The second movie, that's when he changed it. Third movie, he kind of tamped a little bit back with it, but then it also was the worst movie by far. And you had Batman at one point saying, oh, so that's what it feels like. And that's where the whole
and the lisp.
And I don't know who the comedian is, but there's one comedian who does a hilarious
it's Pete
stupid
Holmes.
Batman. Is that Pete Holmes?
Pete Holmes.
Okay.
Yes.
His stupid
so
Batman
good.
is so funny, but that's exactly the kind of voice he does. So that's what you think. And it's like, oh my gosh, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was a bad move. But I did find it interesting that more people are talking about this now because it is like they almost did he overly grounded Batman. Now, I can't remember. I think you weren't a huge fan of the Batman, were you? You were like so on it?
Yeah, for me. Sorry, I was eating.
No, you're good. Do your thing. I was eating
some Teddy Grahams.
Yeah, you're good.
So for the Batman, vastly overrated. And for me, the movie was mediocre, and then it became awful. Garbage tier, never going to watch it again. As soon as they had that revelation about Riddler. As soon as Riddler, and my chat will know this, they know exactly what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he says, hey guys, how's it going? I lost it. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's a YouTuber?
Right.
He's a YouTuber?
Like,
and he talks like that? Incel YouTuber like, hey guys, how's it going? And I'm just like, no, this is stupid. And it's so funny because everyone was like, you know, people who are critical of it were only talking about that one moment where she's like, oh, the rich white men. I'm like, that's not the worst part of the movie. Riddler is the worst part of the movie. And they killed my boy. They killed my boy because, and again, people who know me know this. I love Paul freaking Dano.
Dude,
I have to call
good.
him Paul freaking Dano every time. That is his name in my head. Is Paul freaking Dano because he's so good. And look what they did to my boy.
Right.
Look what they've done to my boy. They destroyed.
I know they did do him dirty. That was my least favorite part. I still liked the portrayal of Batman and stuff so much that I think for me it saved it because we finally got a detective Batman, and I just been begging for it for years, and we got that. And also, it didn't feel quite as grounded as Nolan's did for whatever reason. For me, I think just that year one aspect of it, and I just liked the chunky, like clunky version of him. I think it's probably the weakest Bruce that we've ever got, but I you know, all in all, I liked it. But I'm hoping we'll see what Gunn does. Oh, it seems like no one really knows what's happening with Batman currently, and that the Batman 2 keeps getting pushed back.
And that, I think, should tell you a lot, because if the Batman was so good and so well received, why haven't we gotten the sequel? But you know what we did get? The one thing everyone universally, for the most, like, again, there's always people who say otherwise, but universally, what was the number one thing people praised about the film? It was Penguin. Like, again, because everyone was like, oh gosh, could you see him as Penguin? That was awesome. Like, oh my gosh, that makeup, and oh my gosh, that performance was great. He was my favorite character. And what did they do? They made a series all about him. Again, these are things that I think that we have to keep in mind are very much tied together.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I'm really curious to see where things are headed. The Penguin show was so good. I loved it so much. And so hopefully we will get more, and actually this is interesting with us and Paul Dano coming up. There was some news about him. I don't know if you've seen it, that dropped just a few hours ago. So I was going to actually talk about it today. Now, but what I was going to ask you first, with you coming on, I know you are probably time constrained to some degree.
Yes.
So do you want to go ahead and talk
whatever
about
it is that you were about to talk about, let's talk
Yeah.
about it. And then
Okay, we'll do that, and then I'll do the one piece of news. We can do the movie, and then I might move back to some of the other stuff later, depending on or whatever. So that way you're not held to my time stuff here.
Gotcha.
But also, right before you walked in, it was very funny. I don't know if you've noticed, but Banjo is in the chat.
Of course, I have the chat up right now.
Yeah, we recently had we've added mods, and Caveat Ties accidentally kicked Banjo from and like blocked him or shadow banned him or something.
Caveat Ties, you are a legend.
Yeah,
Gary,
it's pretty
you
great.
deserve it. Your 50%,
Right, and,
your 50% scores.
Right. Yeah. You had it coming, Banjo. And we've got 5 gifties from Couch Tater. Yo, thanks for the gift of memberships, buddy. Thanks a bunch. That means a lot. And Couch Tater is also my nemesis now. It happened last night on a live stream. I decided to do one of the G&G Mario Kart streams. And that is the most chaotic thing that I've ever done. And I don't know if you know, but during the back half, they have decided to start letting the locals users race against us.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like 30 some odd all real people racing. And it is the most chaotic, psychotic thing I've ever done. And they have now dubbed my alternate identity as Zane, and that's the version that they get when I play Mario Kart. So it's Evil Blaine. So
oh yeah, I've only ever been able to do the Mario Kart stream. This was years ago. This was back in the day when I think we were still doing it on YouTube. And so we were also letting people who were channel members. I think it was like they were website members maybe who were on it before locals. And it was crazy. And yeah, Mario Kart brings out the worst of people.
Dude. Yes, and the game is just like made to infuriate you. I think it's just it's maddening. But it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. So yeah. I can't deny that. But okay, well, we'll quickly touch on one piece of news. I'm going to run the bumper, and then we'll go from there.
Cool.
All right, and with that being said, let's see if I can present yet another screen. Let's see here.
I was just laughing at the wifey's comment there.
All right, let's see. It's weird. It's not letting me.
Well, while you figure that out, there's a reason why I'm in this tiny little office, because this used to be a kitchen, and my wife was very much like no, I want you in your own little space. Because you're bigger off, because I had a bigger office, but that's where my son had to go because
I remember that.
I have to get the little office here that is far from her office and far from our room, so she can't hear me.
Yeah. Well, that's what we ran into last night with this whole Mario Kart thing. Yep. And our bedroom is below us. And she was like, I'm going to shoot a hole through the floor with the shotgun. If I'm lucky, it hits you and shuts you up. Like it was, I made her violent last night, to say the least. So, but I deserved it. So check this out. This is the news. I finally figured it out. Got it working here. So Paul Dano is going to write and direct a high concept comedy. Did you hear about this?
Nope, but I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm not because I'm excited.
Right. Yeah, it's him and with the Daniels. And do you know who they are?
Yes, they did everything everywhere all at once, right?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is really interesting. I was like, okay, so wait. So if he is writing and directing, what are they doing? I was like, I guess that means they're producing. And that's exactly what it is. And I didn't realize it, but apparently they now have their own like producing banner, which is called Playgrounds. I didn't even know anything about that. It goes to show you can have like one super hit and all of a sudden you've got your own little banner, studio, whatever going on. Yeah. So yeah, but basically the news here, there's not a ton of info, but they're just calling it a high concept original comedy, which I think is cool that it's going to be a comedy. And basically he's, they're saying that he's reuniting with them. Now, I guess was Dano in Everything Everywhere? Because I didn't remember him being in that. So now I'm wondering, I'm like, what did he do with them? Because they didn't say it in here.
I think it's probably because you think about the kind of movie that is, and that's kind of where Dano's career has been in the quirky like performances. I mean, he did that one film with Daniel Radcliffe that was
Swiss Army Man.
Swiss Army Man, which so freaking funny.
It's so good. It's just Daniel Radcliffe's farting corpse for like an hour and a half.
Yep, absolutely.
So if you have not, and you're in the chat and you have not seen Swiss Army Man, it's one of those things where like I do recommend it, but also recommending it is a strange thing because you might hate it. Like it's a very select audience kind of a thing. But if you like that kind of weird,
Crisco gives a good bit of information. Swiss Army Man, that was the Daniels' first movie, apparently.
Oh, really?
I did not know that was them.
That actually makes a lot of things make more sense, though, realizing that they did that. I had no idea. And I guess that's what they were saying, why they mentioned that movie in this. I did not realize that was them. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, me neither. But that is cool. And yeah, cool that he's now coming back to do the writing and direction to see how that goes.
Are you getting audio?
I am.
Yeah, where's that coming from?
It's coming from the video that's auto playing on their site.
Oh, is that? I'm like, what is happening?
Yep.
Yeah, so anyways, I thought this was really cool. I brought it up because it dropped like a couple hours ago, and I also love Paul Dano, so I'm like, whatever this guy does, like I'm gonna check it out at the very least. He just always shows up. He's always comfortable with being weird and taking risks, and I'm all for it. So
and he fits almost every role too. I mean, he's actually like he was in Ruby Sparks, so he was the romantic male lead. But it was also still that awkward character, so he was still able to play to his strengths. People forget he was in Prisoners. He was the creep in Prisoners, which again,
you're right, dude.
Very
that movie's
quiet
wild.
role. Yes, absolutely.
It's so good.
And that's why I'm actually sad because I posted a comment earlier on Twitter, and I'd made the comment about how Denis Villeneuve apparently is set to direct the next James Bond movie, or at least that's what some of the reporting is saying.
Right.
And I was excited. I'm like, okay, I like Denis Villeneuve. And the amount of comments, like 75% of the comments were negative. And it was all because of what he did with Dune. And I'm like, look, I get it. I'm critical of Dune as well because I hate what he did with the story. I don't like the changes that he made. And it's not a perfect film. It's got a lot of flaws to it. It's bloated. But I'm also someone that became a fan of his when he was making his smaller films. And the smaller films are easily his best ones. So I think that if he's able to have that focus, and with a James Bond, you kind of have to have, I feel, a more tight-knit story, because Dune's already a weird story. So it's like, okay, that kind of makes sense that it's going to be that. So as long as it's like that tight-knit story, which he has proven to be very good at doing, I think it can be a really good combination.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, and I'm curious to see, because I'm not as crazy about the Dune movies, but more of that has less to do with him, and honestly, more to do with just Dune. Like, I'm just not a huge Dune fan. I'm like, yeah, take it or leave it. I hate sand. You know, I'm kind of like Anakin, and just don't like sand. So maybe that's what it is.
Surprisingly, I like actually the book Dune.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
But I liked it. But then it was funny because my wife had already read it, and then she was going on to the next one, and she was like, "Just don't, just stop, because it's like you're gonna hate it." Because basically, from what I've gathered, he does not. The writer of the book apparently felt that people's reaction to the character of Paul was a bit too positive, and so it's like he almost tries to retcon that character a bit, because the way it's written in the book, it doesn't really sound as bad as I think he was trying to make it to be. And then he's trying to be like, oh no, people are actually liking to Paul's character, and he's not supposed to be the good guy, really. And I'm like, oh.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I gathered too. And I haven't read them. I'm really curious. I was just kind of, that was actually kind of when I was more over it. I think I was just kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then with some of the other changes that I heard that they made and stuff too, where now after hearing about them, I'm like, oh, that I could see definitely why people would have issues with that.
Oh, the character of like Dune 2, Chani destroys the movie, because it's like, oh my gosh, this is the epitome of girl boss. Because in the book, she has a very much side character. She is very much in the background. She is involved and totally is bought into the religious aspects. And they've changed her character completely for the sake of having it end on her. And apparently the next movie is supposed to kind of, basically pick up with her. It's like, I'm sorry, she's not the lead in the story.
Right. Yeah, which of course modern Hollywood, of course, are going to do that. So that's how it always goes. So yeah, we'll see what he does with that. Also, I didn't see Dole Status just brought this up, but did you see that they announced a social network too?
I did not, but why?
You're right. Why? What? Like, is this going to be like the fall of Facebook? What are we going to be?
There can't be David Fincher coming back, because why would he do that?
Right. I don't know. It's so weird. I just saw that, was like, what, do what? No, I'm good. Like, I don't really think we need that. So
no.
Yeah, but if you want, we can go ahead and get into the movie.
Yeah.
That way you can boogie and do the stuff that you need to do to head out of town.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and roll the thing, and we will get going.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
What the hell was
yeah.
even that? I thought I'd be safe from that stuff here, but Lord.
It's on brand, it's very 80s, it's retro. It's
Mrs. Criticless, do you approve of this? I have to know, since I know you're in the chat.
She literally, when I made that, she was just like, but why? And I was like, the question you really need to ask yourself is why not? I mean, really, that's what you must ask yourself. And of course,
yes,
yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, she regularly disapproves of most things involving my handling.
I will say it is the most tame of
Right.
that. It's the most tame I've ever seen in all the channels that I do shows with. So it's
right. That's true. And you run with some real heathens. So
and it's a hard work in progress, but we're working on it. We're making it.
Right. That's an uphill battle for you there. So, all right. Well, I guess we will go ahead and talk about what we're kicking things off with, which is the F1, the movie, which I didn't realize the movie was attached to the back of that. It's kind of weird, but I guess I get why they had to do it, because if you were to search F1 and whatever, maybe there's some probable issues, I guess, with that and marketing and all of that. So, but this is one of those movies, and I don't know if you are where I was, Odin, where just being that it's Kaczynski and Brad Pitt and just what Kaczynski's been doing lately, just all of that, I had pretty high hopes for this movie. And so the overview of this is a racing legend, Sonny Hayes, is coaxed out of retirement to lead a struggling Formula One team and a mentor a young hotshot driver while chasing one more chance at glory, or maybe not one more chance, which we could potentially touch on later. I don't know. I hadn't decided if we're going to get into spoilers or not. But yeah, so
the whole thing that I was reacting to earlier said spoiler free. So
right. So we'll stay away from those. Yeah, we will stay away from the spoilers.
You just wanted to play that video. You disgust me. You disgust me.
That's how it goes. So yeah, and I mentioned at the very start of the show, this stars Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Kerry Condon, and Javier Bardem. And this really, I mean, it's still very much Brad Pitt's movie. They are marketing it as it being his thing, but Damson, who plays Joshua, he's kind of this secondary character that's racing with him, and basically this isn't necessarily going to rewrite the script or give us any, like, this is the type of thing I think that at least to some degree you have seen before, at least is how I felt. But it does seem like, at least so far, with the Criticless reviews, especially that we're seeing come through, and then the critic ones as well, the praise is pretty high. And we don't have anything currently in Criticless under a rad, and I will show those in just a few. But first off, Odin, I guess I'll go ahead and let you kick it off kind of with your just boilerplate thoughts here, opinions on it, and your Criticless score, that kind of thing, and where you're sitting with the movie.
Yeah, so I gave it a 75% rad score. And same like you, this was one of my most anticipated films of the year because I love Joseph Kosinski. I went through this the other day on my live stream, going through his filmography. And even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Tron Legacy, because it's not really my jam, I still appreciate it for what it is. And for the fact that that was his first directorial debut is pretty impressive. Like, it's insane that was the movie that he actually ended up creating. But then you look at everything else, and one of the most underrated sci-fi films, I think, of the last 20 plus years is the first film he did with Tom Cruise, which was Oblivion from 2013. And that movie still holds up so well. The visual effects on that movie are pristine. Like, they're gorgeous. Like, I look at that and I'm like, how in the hell did they do that? Like, everything looks so real. Everything looks so clean.
Right.
And so that was that level of excitement I had, because he had that. Obviously, most people today know him for Top Gun Maverick, which it's insane when you can make a movie in the 2020s that is arguably better than the original. And the fact that that was even being talked, I know that everyone agrees with that statement, but the fact that there are some people that would say, hey, at least there's an argument that could be made, that says a lot about the quality of that movie. I was expecting that. Yeah.
With that and Tron. I mean, you have two movies and two existing franchises, and most people would tell you that both are better than the original, which Hollywood, most people think is incapable of doing that. And he's managed to do it twice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So sorry to interrupt you.
No,
but
no,
yes,
absolutely correct. And so I think that was something I was like had this thing very high hopes for me, and I did give it a rad score. I obviously really also enjoyed a lot of the aspects of the film, but I did want to mention that for anyone who's kind of wondering, okay, where does this thing fit in line with a Top Gun Maverick, or where does it fit in with the rest of his filmography? I'll say it's not one of my favorites of his. I think it's a movie that's the biggest issue is that it's so long. It does not need to be 2.5 hours long. And
I saw you point that out as kind of
Yeah.
your main complaint, and I was curious about that because I did. Yours was one of the few reviews that I actually looked at before seeing this. And you and I, we can agree totally, or we're going to be on opposite ends of the spectrum. It's usually one or the other.
Yes.
And so I was very curious going in if that would bother me. And actually, that was not my, I guess, biggest complaint with it. And I don't really have a lot of complaints, but that I'm so that was that your major complaint, I guess, with it was the length.
So it was that in mixture with the story and pacing issues, because all that goes really hand in hand with each other, though.
Right.
Because they could have easily cut off a good 30 plus minutes of the film, and that could have made it that much tighter. Therefore, writing story would have been that much better. And I think that they could have probably developed the character relationships a bit better as well. Because the unfortunate thing is that it kind of eventually goes into kind of your general tropic type of story where you're like, okay, I've kind of seen this before already. There's not really breaking new ground here. And I know that obviously same thing could be said for Top Gun Maverick. I think the difference is that Top Gun Maverick just had that it factor. It had that it factor to it that made it a most excellent score in my mind, right? That made it the best film of that year, right? Best film of 2023 for movies to come out. Whereas with this one, it's a good film. I don't see it making my top 3 though. And the reason why is because it's lacking that it factor. And I think a big part of that is, again, a bloated script, too long of a story, too long of a movie. And honestly, as amazing as the cinematography action sequences are where they're in these cars, and I did look this up, and they don't actually drive F1s, but Brad Pitt is driving an F2. Like, he is actually driving an F2. Yeah, the actors in the movie are driving actual race cars, F2 caliber. I think they like up to like 180 miles an hour, so still not, quite to that same level. But the fact that Brad Pitt was willing even to do that, he's not known at least to my knowledge, he's not really known as that's Tom Cruise's job, right?
No, I was about to say that's Tom Cruise stuff.
Yeah. So I appreciate that, but I don't know. I guess for me, it did not have the same effect that those shots in the jets did. Like, I remember being in the theater and like during Top Gun Maverick, I was like floored by how good those shots were. I didn't have the same feeling for F1.
I agree.
Yeah.
I am right there with you on pretty much all of that. And I'm debating on where my score is going to be, and it might be right there where yours is, honestly. It might be up to like a 78 or so, but I don't think it hits most excellent territory for me. And I don't know, it's one of those things where you struggle a little bit too with, like, because you are, even with what you just said, like, comparing it to his previous work, which is hard not to do because we know what he's capable of. We know what he's done. We are fans of all of those movies. And so it's one of those things where with this one, I think maybe some of that is just connected to the subject matter, probably. Because I think that he probably presented this in the best way possible. But at the same time, I just don't know, like, it is evocative and exciting and fun, but I just don't know if it can go to the heights of jets or like the bikes in Tron or like those flying ships in Oblivion.
Yeah. And I think another aspect, this kind of goes back to the story, is with the story of this runtime. I also, as someone who is not an F1 fan, someone who has no knowledge of that area, I also felt like it kind of left us out of that a little bit. Like, I don't think that there was as much maybe exposition, or at the very least a way of, kind of like what they were able to do with Ford v Ferrari. I felt like Ford v Ferrari was a film that was about a subject matter that I had no knowledge of, and yet I was able to understand it enough to enjoy what was going on and appreciate what was going on. Whereas
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, and I actually really liked Ford v Ferrari. And so I think that is kind of like where I am with this one, where this one just does not really, I think, set up nearly as much for people who are not F1 fans, who don't know anything about it. Because like a lot of this stuff, I was like, okay, they're racing, but I don't really know, okay, why are there so many laps? Like, what's the whole mentality of this? And obviously, you don't want to
the tire pressure and the tire style.
Yeah. It's like you obviously don't want to spoon feed everything to people, but you also have to recognize that that's going to impact the overall enjoyment, because if I don't know fully what's going on to buy into it, then okay, I'm not going to be able to enjoy it as much.
Right. Yeah. And I do agree with that as well, because I'm not a fan of F1. I've never really watched any of it, really. Now, I will say, I mean, I was able to, with context clues and everything else, pick up on what was going on in this movie. It's not like it was over my head, but at the same time, they still do leave you to figure out things. And if you don't figure them out, it's kind of like it's left up to you. But I didn't have a huge issue with that by any means, but it just, at the same time, actually where my mind went while watching this was this film. Now, I don't know where you sat with this, or even if you saw Gran Turismo, but I thought Gran Turismo was great, and I thought it did a good job of explaining not only the video game components, because it's based off that true story, but also the racing stuff. And I actually think that in certain ways, Gran Turismo is a better film than this one was.
In certain ways.
In certain ways, not cinematography, not... Now, I do like Neil Blomkamp's style and how he directs. He's very stylish and does some cool things. I liked some of that. This F1 movie, to me, was a lot more raw. Even for Kaczynski, I thought. It just felt, I don't know, very grounded, and just, it was a different thing than I think his other films were.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I would say... because someone in the chat also, asked about the film Rush. I have seen Rush. It's been a while since I've seen it. I think again, because I still remember some of that, because there's this horrific accident in that movie that happens, and the acting by, I always forget his name, Daniel Bruhl, I think. Yeah, Daniel Bruhl.
Yeah.
And most people know him because he was in Glorious Bastards. He was the awesome German actor who was the one they were making a film about, because he was in the sniper shot and he was taking out all the soldiers, and they were trying to create propaganda about him, basically. Daniel Bruhl is a phenomenal actor. But anyway, he plays that role, and he does a great job. So I think that one did a better job maybe of setting that stage, whereas this one, again, it does feel like it kind of leaves us in the dark a little bit, kind of just throws us into the action to kind of pick things up. And again, that's a choice that's made, and for some people it's gonna be fine. I think the film is, as you said, being well received. It's just one review away, last I checked, from getting a public Criticless score, and it's gonna be on the high rad, low most excellent. There it is.
Already, we got one more while we were talking. So yeah, Rhombus dropped one, and actually we got two. So Andy's commentary dropped one as well. And look at these. I mean, we got 89, 80, 91, 100, 94, 85. So yeah, these guys, and we've got a mix of regulars and people that aren't reviewing every single solitary thing. So clearly other people are pretty excited about this as well. So I mean, this is a good sign, I think, potentially, at least for one of the big things you talk about, which is the box office. Now, I'm curious, have you gotten any word on the street? What do you think? I was worried that this might not do a whole lot simply because it's more niche, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, so last I checked, and I'm still waiting on, for some reason, Sean Robbins has not posted his box office projections for the weekend. Like, normally by now, those have been listed. But as of the last update, it is expected to make around 115 million globally.
Okay.
With only about 50-ish domestically.
Yeah, I could see this one doing better overseas.
But here's the thing. Okay, so I brought this up on my live stream yesterday, and I think that is fool's gold. I think the assumption that people are having is that, well, F1 is very popular overseas, ergo, it's going to be huge money there.
Right.
If it makes big money overseas, it's not going to be primarily because of F1 racing. And I say that because just look up the box office for what Ford v Ferrari was. That came out in 2019. Ford v Ferrari deals with something that you would expect a lot of European countries would have some interest in, right? But guess what? Didn't really do much at the box office internationally. Was not really a huge hit in those areas. And part of me thought the reason is, one, just because you like something doesn't mean you're going to go see a movie about it. And two, it had a more American focus because it was focusing on Ford, right, as kind of the
Right.
protagonist. Well, what's this movie all about? It's about F1 racing, but who's the protagonist? It's the American Brad Pitt. So
Right.
I do think that could have an impact because those European and Western but non-American audiences sometimes have a very non-American bias on certain things. The same thing happened with Super Mario Brothers in Japan, right? It did well in Japan, but everyone thought, it's Super Mario is huge in Japan. Guess what? It didn't do those numbers in Japan. It did good, but it didn't do as much as people thought. Like there are other American films that actually did even better in that area, and there are homegrown films that obviously did exponentially better. But it's because of that factor. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be as big of a hit based on the numbers that we're seeing. Now, could we see it have a slow opening? Good word of mouth pushes it forward. Hey, that's what happened with Top Gun Maverick, right? Started off slow and built.
What's next week? Anything really big? Jurassic Park
World? Is that Jurassic World, I think?
If it's Jurassic World, that could bode not well for this movie.
Hard to say. The early numbers on Jurassic World are some of the lowest in their franchise history.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's something. Well, I mean, if you look at all the films since the first Jurassic World, it's been law of diminishing returns, right? The first film made a lot. Second film didn't make as much because they're just not great films. And then the last one, it had to will itself to $1 billion. It barely scratched that. Like it was like the 10th week of its release before it left theaters. It finally hit over there. But yeah, Jurassic World Rebirth is next week, and then the week after that, Superman. Like we're basically nonstop for the next month at this point.
Yeah, it's.
But that's not everything. But that's not everything. Okay.
Right.
Because Barbenheimer, great example. 2 big films, both of them made bunches of money. Different audiences to a certain degree, but it's still something that just because your movie comes out at the same time as another does not mean you're going to lose money or does not mean that you're not going to make a lot of money. The issue, someone mentioned in the chat as well, the issue with F1 is its budget because the estimated budget is between $200 and $300 million. Yeah.
Woof. I did not realize it was that high. Now, granted, it looks like a pricey movie, but I mean, and it looks phenomenal. And that is one thing I was going to say is I don't want it to sound like we are poo-pooing on this either. It's just in comparison to some of his previous ones, it's not my favorite of his. Now, with that also being said, though, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I think it is a very good movie. It is predictable, though. It is not... It's stuff that you've seen before. It is very much like, the grizzled old, dog. He's showing the young guy the ropes and teaching him how to be, and the younger guy's teaching him a little bit. And it's very much it's the things that we've seen these stories before, and it's not going to be life changing as far as going outside of your expectations, I guess. But I do think the cinematography is great. The score is really good, and then even outside of the score, there's just a lot of good music in it. It's kind of similar thing with like how Top Gun was, just things that really kind of chug the movie along. And I will say, like I was saying earlier, I wasn't super bothered by the length, but at the same time, I was a little bothered by some of the things with the pacing. Like I wish that there was time spent on other things, but the movie is at a breakneck pace. Like it does not take a lot of time to stop somehow at a 2.5 hour long movie. It is just like go, 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 go. To the point where
for me, there were parts that got boring.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think that's when they dug more into just like the nitty gritty racing stuff, probably, because there is a lot of that. And it is very much gets into that component of it. Now, as far as the other characters and people in it, like I actually was surprised with this Carrie Condon. I recognized her, but didn't remember from what. But I really liked her in this. I guess she's been in like Better Call Saul, Walking Dead. She was apparently the female kind of AI voice or whatever that Spider-Man's headset used. Okay. She did the voice for that, but outside of that, I don't know. But I thought that she did a really solid job in this, and I found her to be a pretty like compelling, other side of the coin to Pitt.
She was in the Banshees of Inisherin.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Banshees of Inisherin. That's right. Yeah, she plays the sister. Yeah, that's what put her on. Like I didn't realize it was the same actress, but yeah, that's if you want to see a really good performance from her, Banshees of Inisherin. That's also a phenomenal movie. I would highly recommend that one as well.
Right.
But, yeah, I would agree. I think the acting is solid throughout. I think
Javier too. Oh,
yeah, Javier Bardem.
He's so good.
Kind of in a different role than he typically is used to playing, I guess. It's just I'm not used to seeing him in that role. But yeah, I think that's a big part of the issues that I do have with it, right? Because it is, when the fun is there, it is a ton of fun.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it does get bogged down by non-interesting plot. And again, that's where you could have had more interesting things of, hey, let's talk about what this is and how this works and everything. But instead, it's like we have this design on this car, and it's making our car faster. How does that work? No, we're not going to tell you. It's like, well, okay, I guess this. And then it's like,
because airflow.
Airflow, yeah. And I'm just like, I wish they could have maybe done a little bit better job to actually explain it. But again, if it sounds like I'm dunking on it, I'm just trying to make clear as to what is keeping it from a most excellent score for me, because there is a lot of things that I did enjoy about it. For you mentioned the score, I think the score is fine, meaning while you're watching the film, you'll be fine. It's not memorable though. I can't remember anything about it.
Right. And I think that's where it was with me too, is it isn't super memorable. And honestly, even if we keep this discussion away from the spoiler stuff, which I think I'm going to do for this, just because I think it's okay to not dig into it really with this conversation. Like they don't matter. I don't know. Like it's like you said, some of that's just a little inconsequential. And I wasn't crazy about how they took their time with buttoning it up without getting into spoilers. There was some things about the ending that I just wasn't crazy about, and I was just kind of like, I don't know if I like how y'all did that.
Yeah,
but
let's just say there's some some betrayals that happen, and it's just like it doesn't really make any sense. And also because it wasn't really built up, any relationship being built up, it's like I don't care.
Right.
I don't care about this person. I don't care about what's just happened, because it hasn't changed anything, and it's not really hurting anybody. It was
right.
Yeah.
I think that there was a lot more than 2.5 hours to this movie. I think that there was probably closer to like 3.5. Yeah. I saw that there was an article came out the other day. It was one of the younger actresses that was in the sex ed show that was on Netflix for a while. Apparently she had a fairly sizable role in this movie, and it was all cut. I saw one tiny shot of her, and I'm not sure, but I'm wondering if they were doing some sort of love interest situation with the young driver.
Oh, okay.
And they cut the whole thing. And so, yeah, she had some type of role that was completely removed from the movie, to the point in which like she's not in it. And I don't even know if she's like, I saw her flash on the screen for a millisecond. And the only reason I even caught it is because I was trying to look for her to see if she showed up at all after them saying she was cut.
Yeah.
But being that happened makes me think that there was probably a decent amount, and I could feel that there was some things missing at certain points. So
yeah,
it didn't deeply hurt the film, but I am a little bummed that I'm not as hyped as some of these guys are on it.
Well, I will say, and this is a pet peeve of mine. If you people who give 100% on movies, it's just like it's the same kind of fiery hatred I have for Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington's 50% reviews.
All 50s,
right? When he gets his 50s, right? It just enrages me. So if you ever have a 100% review and you see a dislike on there, it's probably me. And again, it's a principle thing. It's like, I'm sorry, you're saying that this movie is perfect. There's no way you can say this movie is perfect. I'm sorry. Like, very few films could even be argued. And even I love Casablanca. It's one of my favorite films of all time. I would still say there's criticism. There's still things I could talk about, like that the whole sequence of them driving and the scenes change in the background, and you have Humphrey Bogart giving a cheesy smile. That is worthy of criticism, and it's my favorite movie of all time. But 100%, guys, come on, y'all are better than this.
Yeah, 100% for me are pretty rare. I don't give them super often.
Oh,
obviously,
one you do give 100% to.
There's one that obviously deserves it, deeply deserves it, but that actually came up last night on the stream. They said that Zane, my other identity, hates Pacific Rim. That is one of his traits, which would make sense. But yeah, we do have at least 200s on here. And Banjo over here. Oh, yes, some movies are 50. So, yeah, I bet Banjo. Some of them are. So, yeah, but I mean, it sounds like a lot of you guys are really loving it a lot. Like Eternal Glory gave it 100%, and we also had another 100 from Jacob. So yeah, there are a few, and I think that they're going to continue to be most excellence and rads. I'll be surprised if it dips below that, honestly, for very often. Maybe some decents, but I don't think anyone's going to just like really deeply dislike this. Like I think people that aren't even into F1 are going to be like, no, it was a cool, fun movie. It was exciting. It was, whatever. Brad Pitt did great and he's appealing. And it's like, one of the things I was going to talk about during the news segment is it's like watching this did remind me. I'm like, we talk about how there's not many movie stars anymore. Brad Pitt's still a mother flipping movie star. Like that dude, he does it. I mean, versus this, that's not that's not a movie star right there. Not a movie star. That looks like
the sad thing is that it depends on what we mean and define as a movie star. Because if movie star is someone who brings people to the box office, that's not true. I mean, it's just the movie star is dead in that regard because people think, oh, Tom Cruise. No. Go back to the really crappy Mummy film he did. It did not do well. The whole Dark Universe collapsed because of how bad that movie did. Because again, doesn't matter who is in it. Now it's again Tom Cruise in a specific kind of movie. Yes, that absolutely will bring it in. But even go back to Mission Impossible. Dead Reckoning Part 1 didn't do it. Right.
It didn't. So yeah, it does really matter as well as if they're going to put butts in the seats, or well, if you want to qualify that but even if it's just like, because for this, it's like the charisma, the appeal, the on screen, just really making you want to watch it. Like watching Brad Pitt in this, the dude's just so charismatic and he's so watchable, and he showed up in this, and it did it's funny, he laughs quite a few times in this movie, and I haven't seen him in a lot lately, but every time the man laughs, I just instantly think of Fight Club. Like it's just like I can't not hear him laugh and not think of it as being like at least a little psychotic. So
whereas for me, it's more of a recent memory because of his role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Right.
All I can think of is his role in that.
Yeah. And that movie's something else too. Yeah, he just I'm curious to see what else he does. He takes interesting roles. Some of them is stuff I want to see him in. Some of it's stuff that I'm just like, I don't care if he's in this. Like I love him, but I don't want to see this movie. So I'm glad he did something more on the exciting side of things, and I would be very interested if Kaczynski worked with him some more. But Kaczynski also doesn't seem like one of those people that just continues to use the same actors. So I'm trying to think, who else is he?
Well, again, his filmography is limited. He's only
it is very limited.
But I mean, he did work with Tom Cruise on both Oblivion and Top Gun Maverick.
True.
So
that is a good point. Yeah, he did do that. I didn't even think about that. Which so many people haven't seen Oblivion, and that's a cool movie. Like, highly recommend it. I mean, it's not like perfect film, but it's a really it's a great showcase, especially for like a new director.
Not to mention the M83 score is fantastic.
Dude, it's so good. And that's the thing, man. This guy understands music in his movies. I mean, the Tron soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks ever freaking made. And it's the same for that M83 one for Oblivion. Like, the dude just does great stuff. Now, I don't know. Did you see Spiderhead?
Oh, yeah. So we were going through this on the live stream the other day that he has not made a bad movie. However, Spiderhead is easily his least enjoyed movie. And the way I described it is that, well, think about it. It was made for Netflix. Right. So my thought is, okay, Netflix had a hand somewhere in the movie.
Which I'll say, I actually liked it.
Me too. No, again, I was
quite
like,
a bit.
I was like, I would give this a rad score. Like,
Same.
I actually enjoyed the story. But the other thing is, I totally get why people did not like it.
Right. Yeah, same. I think it's totally worth watching, and I'd recommend seeing it. But it is, like you said, at the very least, his least liked film,
yes.
by and large. So.
But I mean, Only the Brave. If you want to, as a man, cry, watch Only the Brave.
Oh, okay.
I'll just say it right there.
I forgot he did that, and that's his own movie I have not seen. Yep. So. Yeah, I do need to see that one. So I'll have to check that out. And actually, speaking of working with same people, that he's worked with Teller 3 times now.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I take back what I said earlier. He definitely works with same people. So yeah, that 3rd time working with him. for all three of these movies. So yeah, but I know you're on a time crunch. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about with this movie at all before?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a film. If you are interested in it, go see it on the biggest screen. I think that's how you're going to appreciate it best. I unfortunately could not make it to an IMAX showing. I saw it at the fan event screening last night, and it was at my local AMC, which has basically like the Limax. They call it the Big D, which is the dumbest and most on the point. Yeah, I'm glad I said that when you were drinking that. But yeah, literally, it's called the Big D. That is what the name of the format is.
D, baby.
I was like, can I get one to that Big D F1? Oh, okay. Yeah, you absolutely can, good sir. But yeah, so I saw it in the Big D. All right, that's how I saw the movie. But it's just the sound's not as high and the image is not as good, but IMAX, those are really good. So
yeah,
I would
saw
say
it in Dolby, and it was off the freaking hook. Like,
I miss my Dolby. I'm from New Orleans, and AMC Elmwood 20. That was my theater. Worked there and everything, and I just love that theater so much. They had a Dolby and IMAX. They had the reclining seats. They had everything.
Yep, that's ours. Has all of that because ours is a theater right near the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and so it's like the big Concord Mills
big
Mall.
Traffic.
So yep, it's like the best theater around. We see every movie in Dolby, like unless it is an indie, it's in Dolby, and so it's just I can't recommend seeing Dolby enough. And people don't get it, like, oh, what about IMAX? I'm like, no, go to a Dolby movie.
IMAX is good, but Dolby is better.
It is. It really is. It's Dolby movies are so good. But yes, like you said, I 100% back that with you as far as just biggest screen you can see it on. See it in theaters if you're interested at all. If you're not interested in F1, there's still plenty to like here. You will be entertained. It's not gonna, I don't think it will really let you down. And like I said, you might hit decent range, but it's going to be surprising if you're anything below that. So
it may not be your favorite film of the year. This is where, again, I want to give that kind of warning. If you're going expecting a Top Gun Maverick, you're not going to get that, unfortunately. But if you're going expecting to have a pretty good time, I think you'll get that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that 100%. And we'll keep an eye out for more reviews, and I can talk about those later. But I didn't want to keep you past when you needed to be here or whatever with all that you have going on and stuff. Yeah. I know you're.
It's one of those things where I'm like I've become what's the word? Mentally, emotionally paralyzed. Where it's like there's so much that I know I have to do, but I just. I had to mow the lawn today, so I'm also physically exhausted. So I'm just like, there's a lot of things I could be doing, but I also really want to play my Steam Deck because I've been playing some Breath of the Wild because I've had some nostalgia for it, and it's such a good game,
dude. I've been playing some Zelda lately as well on my Switch too. So it's like, so you are enjoying your Steam Deck thing because last we talked, you had just gotten it.
I am. Now that I figured it out and how it works, it's so funny because I was like, I can't wait to emulate all these things, and it's just all I've been doing is doing the Wii U emulation for Breath of the Wild because I was like, I didn't realize that it was a double release. It plays really well with it.
Dude, that's sweet. Awesome. Yeah. Well, good. Well, hopefully you'll get some time to do some of that while you're on your while you're on your trip a little bit too. Maybe some.
I'm packing it. That's for sure because there's probably going to be some moments because it's a family reunion, my wife's side.
Oh, nice.
So I'll need some. I love them. They're awesome, but I'm also an introvert, so I need my alone time too. And with the kids especially, there's not gonna be a lot of alone time. Definitely we'll have that for some detox. That's for sure.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate you taking one for the team and hopping in and helping me out with this one.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And we're hopefully going to be figuring out how to do it easier with our whole squad with all the guys. But it is a weird thing because it's kind of like also when, I don't know if you'd ever done that with Salty Nerd where did you ever call in when they were all in the studio together?
Yes, when they have been, yeah.
Right. So that's like, it's just a totally different vibe when 4 people are on one camera and one person's on another. So it's that's what we're learning to juggle now. But so anyways, I do appreciate it, man, and I hope that you have a good trip. And
thank you, man.
We'll chat after you get back in town for sure, and we'll have you back on for one of these.
Smash that like button, people.
Yes.
Show some love. Show some love.
Yeah. Make sure to hit that like for sure. I'm really bad about doing all that stuff, telling everyone. It's luckily I have people in the chat that come in and say,
what
as
kind
well,
of
so that-
YouTuber are you? Huh?
the not the good kind. So, anyways, man. All right, dude. Well, I'll let you roll. Take it easy, and
you too.
we will see you soon, bud.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
All right, you too, man. Later.
Bye.
All right, so back to just the solo dolo, and like I said earlier, I am not going to do the spoiler the spoiler chat for this movie simply because, for one, it's easier talking about that with other folks, but also it tends to kind of split everybody, because if you haven't seen the movie yet and it's a new movie, it makes it a little bit difficult. But so if a few of y'all want to hang in for a little while longer, I am going to touch in for just a minute on a couple more pieces of news and also some things that have been streaming. So we will do that. I guess first, what I will do is we will go back in time a little bit to the news. So one thing that I wanted to bring up is that The Bear is back. I didn't realize that it was actually back, or well, that the new season was coming out, and I'm very curious what everybody's going to think about this. Now, I don't know how many of you in the chat have watched The Bear. This, when it first came out, was like one of the most highest rated shows. Everybody loved it, was over the moon, especially for season 1 and 2. And then it seemed like season 3, people were a little bit lower on it, weren't as crazy about it. I thought season 3 was good, but it wasn't the best. But I am very excited about this. And as Banjo says, it's a Bear weekend here and it's going to be binging it. So yeah, and I hear you there. We will definitely be watching it as well. I'm very excited for this. If you're not watching The Bear and haven't seen it, if you are into high stress, high anxiety, but also some comedy, some good drama, it is a very interesting thing. If you've ever worked in the restaurant world, highly recommend it. But it does sound like several of the critics that I've seen reviewing it, now, as we know, they cannot be trusted. But several of the critics that I have seen are saying that season 4 is better than season 3, but it's still not quite a return to form for the previous, or for season 1 and 2. This person actually says it's repetitive talking about the last season being repetitive and self-indulgent, and I mean maybe a bit, but I still very much enjoyed it and thought it was a good season. And but it does sound like this is an improvement, at least according to Variety as well, saying that it marks an improvement for the predecessor season. And so basically, apparently, there's not as much of like the real world superstars and things like that. And so I'm very curious to see what's the deal with this season. But I did want to let everyone know that The Bear is back, because this is a show I love and I think it's very, very good. So if you have Hulu or maybe Disney Plus with Hulu, then you can be watching this this weekend. Now, next piece of news here is that we have more Street Fighter news, and it's that Andrew Schultz has joined the cast. This is super weird. I'm almost a little bit confused about the fact that that Andrew Schultz is going to be in Street Fighter, but at the same time, it makes sense. They kind of bring up here that he could be very good comedic relief for the film, and that's apparently what sources are saying that he's going to be in it for. We have had a lot of casting, and several just in the past week. Andrew Koji, Noah Cinto, Jason Momoa, Roman Reigns, and Orville Peck have all been announced, as well as recently we got Kaito Sakuri directing it. But there was also another casting bit of news about this. Here it's Kalina Lang is going to be playing Chun-Li, which was just announced a few days ago, I think on like Monday. So there is a lot of news. This is interesting. The rumor has it that he's going to be playing a character called Dan Hibaki, who I did not know about, but it's this dude. I'm not familiar with this character at all, but they're saying he's going to be a comedic version, I guess, of this character. And I'm curious. I'm curious to see what happens with this. But I like Schultz for the most part. Oh, sorry to make y'all have to see that. But yeah, I'm curious about Andrew Schultz being in the Street Fighter movie. I'm getting more and more excited about it. And I think that this could be really good, and it looks cool. So we'll see what happens, what shakes out, but I'm interested to hear everybody else's thoughts about the Street Fighter movie, especially as they start filming and we get trailers and things like that. So It could be cool. And I mean, look, it's probably not going to be as bad as the last live action movie. Now, the other thing that I did want to touch on, because we haven't touched on it on this show, is The Thing. And it's that a new trailer has come out. Everybody's saying that it is the best trailer for the Fantastic Four First Steps. I'm trying not to watch much about this. I am not. I don't know. I'm on the fence as far as where feel about this movie. I'm not extraordinarily excited anymore. I hope it's great, but Marvel has been really letting us down of late. Granted, I mean, I really did like Thunderbolts even more than a lot of other people did. I really liked it a lot. So who knows? But if this is part of carryover from the old like MCU from the past 4 or 5 years, we're going to be in trouble. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. But the bit of news here and this new trailer is that, as you see here in this comic book strip, they have the Thing with a beard. And it's because we have the Thing with a beard. It's pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. I kind of love it. Him being flown by the Human Torch is interesting, but the beard looks super cool. I honestly like this Thing design. I think he looks good. And actually, speaking of the bear, this is being played by actually one of the lead actors in The Bear and also one of the lead actors in the Punisher television show. So I think that this looks cool, though. I like the Rock beard. I think it's neat. I hope that this First Steps movie is good, but also I'm nervous. A lot has to do with Pedro Pascal. And this dude he isn't doing it for me anymore. I'm at full Pascal, just over it. So, you know, that just is what it is. But we'll see. This does look cool. This is kind of promising. Looks like there's going to be some fun components to this, and the Thing growing a beard is pretty rad. So I don't know. We'll see how this movie turns out. But there were 2 other things that I was going to chat about, which were things that are streaming. So I will button it up with what's streaming, and then I think we're going to pack it up. But before we do that, let's get into what's streaming. So I've been watching a show that many of you have been talking about, or at least some of you. It has a 73% right now on Criticless, and my Friends with Benefits score is a 83%, which is pretty solid score. That's really good. Now, that's only from 2 people, but my wife is who pushed me to watch this, and it's really been the only thing I've been watching with how busy we've been. And so this show, I don't know what I was expecting, and it's almost even hard to talk about, but basically, so this does star James Marsden as the president, and then it features his bodyguard played by Sterling K. Brown, and there are other recognizable folks that are in this show, but they're the 2 big leads. And with this isn't, I don't think, a huge spoiler. There's a lot more to come after that, but we've only seen about 4 episodes now. I am enjoying it, but it's basically that that James Marsden's character, who's playing the president, a younger president who's kind of controversial and just not a typical president, he ends up getting whacked. And so basically Sterling K. Brown is, as his kind of close confidant / his lead Secret Serviceman, is having to figure out what happened. But there is much more overarching mystery with this show. It actually has some kind of Lostian vibes. You know, it's got some Lost in there. And I'm interested as to where this show's going to go. Episode 2 or 3, I can't remember which one, is a bit heavy. And this show does have a very differing tone at points, but it is a bit heavier. And it's considered a crime drama, which I think is pretty accurate. And I'm on board. I'm curious to see where it goes, and we're going to keep watching it. Dark Forest gave this a 76%, and so sounded like he dug it. And Kyle Off Script is one of the big people that pushed it to me, gave it a 90%. Jess Vaughn also gave it an 80%, a friend of ours. So, and then also we've got, but we've got a 50 in here. We've got Grizz Reviews with an 80, 71, 71. But then Shorty Short gave it a 38, and actually she's one that came over from Odin. So, that's how she found us quite some time ago. But apparently she was not crazy about it. She watched the first 6 episodes, and she says not much happens in the first 6 episodes. I can disagree with that. I thought a whole bunch happened in the first 6 episodes. I don't really understand that. And Bookstore Thor is another one that I heard talking about it quite a bit, and he gave it a 79%. So I could see this being in the rad territory. I think it's worth checking out. It is on Hulu if you have it. It's a good kind of mystery, and it gets much weirder than you would expect, which I did not see coming. And that's mostly what has me hooked with it, to be completely honest, is where the show actually is really going. Now, the other thing that I've been watching, very briefly going to mention it because I know a lot of you will not even give half of a crap, is that My Hero Academia has a prequel series, and I'm watching it. It's on Crunchyroll right now, and I think it's actually really good. It's, like I said, a prequel to the My Hero show, but does feature some of the characters that are shown on here from the other series. And I think it's a really solid anime. I really like the art. I think it looks really good. It is a fun show. The characters are fun and interesting. The lead for this is kind of a not a typical hero, similar to like in My Hero Academia. This guy's more of like a Punisher type character, and they're doing some interesting things. It is very much in the vein of My Hero, and apparently is based off of also another anime, but nobody's reviewed it on Criticless, so I might be the first. I've watched like 11 episodes now, and I'm really enjoying it. So if you're a My Hero fan, then I would say to check it out. But those are the main things that I have been watching, and we're going back to the full screen here. We're going full Zane on the full screen, but I think that that's going to be it for what I'm going to talk about on this show. And I am going to do what we normally do and do a send-off song, and I guess Matt and Chris just don't get one unless they want to super chat a song, because they sure aren't getting one on the list if they're not on the show. So just so you two know, that's just how it's going down. But I've been listening to a lot of music of late, and very wide range. Been listening to some weird stuff, but some good things as well. And so I'm going to save the recommendation that I was going to do for when Matt and Chris are back on the show. So I am going to do a song called GTFO. And now, if you don't know, that's Get the Fuck Out. And so this song is really weird but very catchy, and it's basically about like some chick getting stuck in this dude's head, and he can't get her out of his mind. And so the chorus is basically "Get the fuck out of my head," and it's very catchy and it's weird, and I like it. It's a cool song. It's by Max Ricken. I actually found this on TikTok of all places. No way. Chris, how are you going to super a $10 and then not give me the song? Now you got to do it in a separate one. But thanks for the 10, Chris. We do appreciate it. We'll have to buy you a drink with your $10 for the show. So, or buy a new thing of Bumbo rum. So thanks for the 10, Matt or Chris, and you'll have to put a comment in there of what song. Don't know how YouTube works is on a YouTube channel. That is very, very par for the course. So, and I feel like this is directed at me. Yes, Couch Shady, you were in my head and in my face and in my space, buddy, for that Mario Kart race. So you needed a GTFO, but I'm glad that you're in here in the chat and you're joining us. So yes, GTFO, it's a good song. Check it out. We have our send off song playlist on our channel, which is just all the music that we've been recommending, and then also that some of y'all have been recommending with super chats. So all of that gets added into that playlist, and you can go check that out whenever you want. And as far as next week, I think that we will be probably reviewing this new Jurassic World movie, unless everyone votes for us to do another film that's been out for some time, which everyone seems to be liking, and we've been getting a lot of people showing up for those shows. So there is a chance that we could end up talking about something other than Jurassic World, if that's not what y'all want us to talk about. So we will poll the audience in the Criticless cast group in Criticless. And actually what I can do for those of you who don't do groups within Criticless, just so everyone knows, if you are on web, then right here you can go to your groups, you can find them all, and if you are in the app and are not in the Criticless cast group, then definitely join in on that, where I keep everybody up to date where I'm streaming and what is going on. Like, for example, last night when I was doing the Geeks and Gamers stream, and then also I did another stream which I mentioned here, which was with Beardo and X-Wing, and there was a pretty epic moment actually that I'm going to go ahead and show here on stream. If you did not see Bro Science and our manly AF movies, now we didn't do one of those last week, but I was on the show, And surprise, surprise, 2 special guests. We had not only me, obviously, the most important of the guests, hop in there, but, we had Dan Vasc, who showed up out of nowhere, and Ripa, who came in there, and they were talking about their new song. And, I was debating on recommending that. Maybe I'll do a double song and go ahead and recommend their song as well, which is quite good and which I have been listening to. And so you can find that under Dan Vasc's channel, or they have it under their Northfrica, I think is how you say it. But the song is called Glorious Death. And if you're a G&G person or F&T person, you're going to know about this already. But they put out a song connected to a comic that they're doing, and it was super cool, and I really dug it. So if you haven't listened to Glorious Death, definitely go check that out. And if you want to hear more about it, they talked about it on our last Bro Science episode. So good stuff, but make sure to join on these groups, and you can keep up to date on everything that's going on with all of us and what's happening with Criticless Cast. And I'll do a poll in X and in here to see what y'all want us to do next week, and we will kind of go from there. But I know for a fact, because we already have our tickets, we are absolutely doing Superman, and we are absolutely doing Fantastic Four. So those are 2 that we will be seeing, and I have no idea when Mo Zamboni will show up. At some point, he'll be back, or not even back, but on the show. He was excited, but he happened to double book. So anyways, I think that Chris hit the nail on the head here, and it's bedtime. So it's 10 o'clock here for us, and I think I'm going to call it as well. This was a good show. We had a special guest, which is super cool. Odin's first time on Criticless Cast, which I was super grateful that he showed up and actually got to talk about this movie for a little bit, and glad that I wasn't totally alone on F1, and I hope that I didn't let any of you guys down with those opinions of that. But I think when it comes to reviewing F1, I'm probably going to be in this rad territory somewhere in this upper most excellent, probably like a 77, maybe point or 2 above Odin. But honestly, this is a pretty safe film. It's in that like maybe family friendly at the very least, and honestly there's nothing inappropriate in it, really, hardly at all. It's PG-13, so it is pretty safe. So that's one thing we didn't talk about. So anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today. We will be back next week. Who knows, maybe I'll do a regular solo video like I used to do. I have no idea if that will happen next week. My schedule has been bonkers, but that's been it, guys. Thanks for showing up in the chat. Thanks everyone for your super chats and everything that you do, coming in here, commenting and contributing. Like Odin said, make sure to hit that like button, hit those subscribes, share the video, all that, and let me know what you thought about F1. Get your review in Criticless. The reviews are already coming in. We have an official score, which is an 85, which is great. And that's it for tonight, homies. Everybody take it easy. It's been real, and we'll be back soon.